More districts of a small Shia town in Saudi Arabia have been reduced to rubble by government forces. It's part of a crackdown that started 2.5 months ago, with security forces saying they're chasing gunmen responsible for attacks on police. But now the town looks more like a war zone. A few journalists have been allowed inside the area. Most of the images we've received have been posted online by locals. Images show large amounts of destruction and army armoured vehicles patrolling the streets. Now, locals told us exclusively what's going on in the town, but asked us to disguise their voices as they fear for their safety.
All Awamiyah under fire now. The random shooting is everywhere, the shelling. But I think it's get worse and worse. They start to use tanks against civilians.
The whole operation has been going on for nearly 90 days now, but it has been really bad for the last 14 days. The city has been empty, completely empty. No movements on the streets and nobody's out because soldiers were actually around the city just shooting everybody who's in the streets. If you hear the sound of shootings outside, it's almost like a war zone. It's not actually far from what's happening in Iraq or Syria. I can't see it, but I can hear all. So when I open the window, I can hear all kinds of shootings, bombing, and basically armed vehicles moving. I've been staying in my house for almost 14 days now, not going out. I only went out once, and that was 2 days ago.
The months-long Saudi crackdown on the town has resulted in the death of a 6-year-old boy. He was reportedly shot by the army months ago, and now we've been told that he died in hospital. Dr. Ali Al-Ahmed, the head of the Gulf Institute for Human Rights, told us about the boy. The doctor himself is a Saudi dissident imprisoned for political reasons when he was just 14.
Part of my family is an Awamiyah, and I lost some of my students and friends in the assault, in the Saudi attack on the city. A child who was 6 years old was shot by the Saudi Special Forces, and he died after he was shot in the car of his family.
RT correspondent Murad Gazdiev now looking deeper into the reasons behind the conflict in this area.
No, that's not a war zone. Don't be daft. That's renovations. A little do-over neighborhood remodeling with guns. That's seriously what the Saudis are calling this.
The workers who were conducting renovation works to ensure the safety of the Al Masura neighborhood have come under heavy terrorist fire.
Those pictures are from Awamiyah, a town of 25,000 people, where they are foolish enough not to like the king or his family, which is the government. They're also Shia as opposed to Sunni and have resisted authorities. Awamiyah was home to many executed malcontents, such as cleric Nimr al-Nimr, who wanted democracy. In Saudi Arabia, bad behavior is punishable by so-called renovations. Soldiers plowing through your home with bulldozers or destroying it with explosives and shells. Security's tight, but for some reason, the renovators keep on being targeted by terrorists.
The government can call it whatever it wants to call it, but we know it's not actually a renovation. The renovation is just the facade or the cover that the government is using to evacuate the area, make the original people leave. The government wants to control the area, and the only way that the government can control the area is demolish it completely and rebuild it according to the government standards.
The renovations began back in April. Then the UN condemned what it called forced evictions and demolition. People are being thrown out of their homes with little or no compensation. Those who resist are being shot at. Thanks, by the way, in no small part to Western partners. Canadian military vehicles are reportedly at the forefront of these Saudi renovations.
We are looking at these claims very seriously and have immediately launched a review.
Remind me, What did you expect would happen when you sold billions of dollars worth of arms to one of the most repressive regimes on earth? Profits, of course. Dumb question. Saudi Arabia is Canada's second biggest arms buyer. Heck, most Western arms manufacturers sell all they can to Riyadh. Weapons that eventually get turned on civilians, both at home and abroad. And then they feign outrage.
The Saudi attack on Awamiyah is the largest and longest military campaign inside the country since the establishment of Saudi Arabia in 1932. I don't really put too much stock in the international community, the United States or Canada or the UK. All of these countries have provided training, weaponry, and assistance to the Saudi forces to oppress their people. So I don't think the Europeans and the Americans and the Canadians will do anything. In fact, they try to support the monarchy while maintaining, the appearance of civility and democracy.
RT has reached out to several human rights organizations over the situation in that area. We'll bring you their responses as soon as we get them.